Hold on. Oh, well, we missed the intro because the thing threw an error. But we're live. It says unusually high traffic and spinning, and then it finally came alive. I think we're live now, people. So
Well, I mean,
there
it's
we go.
good. High traffic, and we haven't even started yet.
I think it's just StreamYard. But anyway, there is a
I
new
know.
account, so
Don't
we are
crush my
live
dreams,
DJ.
though, Vish. Don't crush my
We
dreams.
are live DJ. We are mimicking the college football playoff committee.
Slow and inaccurate.
Yes, exactly. How's it going, man?
Going well. I was just saying off air before the show that we got some snow up here, so I'm not too happy about that. But it is almost December, and we've had snow in June here before, so I guess I can't complain too much. How are you?
Snow in June.
Yeah, way back like 15 or so years ago. It was not happy. I was not a happy camper. 7-year-old me was not a happy camper.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Back from Pittsburgh. Was very cold there. The sun was out for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then it became overcast and was quite cold the rest of the game. But
I think it
the
wasn't that
Canes
nice.
warmed it up for us.
Yeah.
The Canes warmed up the field for us because they
did.
dominated that. We're gonna let's get to our ad sponsor first, and we'll talk playoffs and then break down the Pitt game. So. The sponsor is 305-800-PAIN. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they're a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada a 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tiene mucho en común con las 5 razones que están enfocadas en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305-800-PAIN. All right, DJ, so we can cut to the chase a little bit where no one that Miami needed to lose lost. So everyone's like, rivalry week, it's going to be crazy. Teams are going to lose. No one lost. So from the ACC standpoint, UVA and Duke are going to play for the ACC championship game. So Miami got shut out there. And then in terms of the teams in front of them, Oklahoma and Alabama won late against Auburn and LSU, who are two
Alabama got
awful
so lucky.
teams.
Sorry. But yeah.
So did Oklahoma. That was a huge coverage bust. And then I don't know what LSU was doing on the last possession. Again, these are two teams with backup quarterbacks and interim coaches. And certainly if Miami had performed that way, they would drop 5 spots in the polls. But I have a feeling we're not going to see any of that with these teams. And yeah, those were the two kind of better chances for teams to drop a game. Utah struggled, but won as well on Friday against Kansas, although they're still behind the Canes. And yeah, so it's going to take, the committee at this point just deciding to correctly rank Miami, which is something we've obviously talked quite a bit about, and something has not happened. I will say the one thing that changed, and this is one of the frustrating things with like the way that they do it in basketball, where after the season's over, they do the bracket to do this TV show, which is what they're doing, and hype everything up. They end up doing rankings every week. I think if you started from scratch right now and said, okay, we're going to take all the teams, we don't have any preconceived polling, we're just going to rank the teams, I think Miami's in easily. Because there's no way anyone watching anything over the course of the entire season puts them behind Notre Dame, Alabama, or Oklahoma right now. But since they started at 18, because they ranked them right at the lowest point in the season, everything since then has been fighting their way uphill, having to disprove a negative, essentially. And so they're Probably not. I mean, it'll take some kind of come to Jesus moment for the committee. The other thing that because they ranked them so early, like before the season's over, the end of Miami's season that they've crushed everyone has actually been quite difficult on paper. Going to Virginia Tech, NC State was one of the better teams in the ACC. Pitt would have made the ACC championship if they'd won that game yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't even competitive, but so all of a sudden you get those metrics added to your numbers, and Miami is now 7th in FPI, but they're still going off the number that they were 4 weeks ago with 2 losses, and with that, and Notre Dame's strength of schedule is now the same as Miami's because now they've played Stanford, and Miami's played Pitt instead. The other way around, the whole thing is stupid. And this is one of those rare instances where there is actually head-to-head and comparable opponents everywhere for Miami.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, obviously. They beat Florida, who beat Texas. They beat Florida State, who beat Alabama. You don't get lucky enough to have a situation where, one team just beat everyone that we're comparing to, so they kind of need to go in the front. None of that's happening. And so, I mean, it's really unbelievably unfair.
2 things. I love the way college basketball does its rankings. I really do. And the other thing, and this is just more of a, wow, I can't believe this happened thing for me, is Manny Diaz making the ACC championship game. I didn't have that in my bingo card necessarily.
Well, this is a result of ACC incompetence too, which we should talk about as well. There's a 5-way tie at 6-2. The worst team is winning some convoluted way they did the tiebreaker, despite not everyone else in that tie. It's Georgia Tech, it's Miami, it's Pitt, it's SMU, and it's Duke are all tied at 6-2. Everyone else beat teams in that 5 team except for Duke. And somehow the way they did the tiebreaker, a 7-5 team goes. Duke sucks. They didn't play any of the good teams. The only teams near the top they played Georgia Tech and lost. And then they played Virginia and lost. It is absolutely insane that they then played the bottom of the conference to get their 6 wins. All of them are against the bottom of the conference. And somehow they're winning a tiebreaker. What kind of tiebreaker are they? But this is all insane. A lot of the conferences say, if we can't have a head-to-head, obviously head-to-head is always except for the playoff committee, but head-to-head is always the tie value. We had played Duke and lost them in the same record in conference. Obviously, Duke should go. But when you can't get the head-to-head, which they can't here because there's so many teams bunched and they didn't all play each other, most conferences then go to the rankings because you want your better teams in there. This dumb conference did some kind of advanced calculus, and somehow the academic school ended up winning it. I wonder how that happened. But
academics did too.
No, I'm joking. It was
okay. I wouldn't play any classes conference, so I wasn't sure.
No, look, I believe it's combined winning percentage of opponent or something like that, because all the tiebreakers are common opponents, but they have to all be common. So since there's no way you're going to get with 5 teams anything common, it goes all the way to the bottom of the tiebreakers.
I don't know. I mean, personally, I want.
This is the other one too. This is the other one too. He's got it slightly wrong. It's not Duke. It's Virginia. Played NC State and lost and got blown out, but it was out of conference. So they have 2 ACC losses. So your two participants. One is 7-5 and won a 5-team tiebreaker. The other has 1 conference loss but lost 2 conference games, and that is where we sit. To answer Anthony's question, they scheduled it. This is again where a proper conference would have prevented this, but they both had opponents lined up. They both dropped at the last, not the very last minute, but they dropped. And so rather than go find other opponents, each of them individually decided to play each other. Now a real conference steps in and saying 2 teams out of conference playing an out of conference game is not good for anyone, because it doesn't help anything. someone's going to get a loss. In this case, it was Virginia, which, by the way, is ranked 18th, has 2 losses. That's one of them. They should have just played VMI or some Virginia directional school, Williamsburg University, something, I don't know, and just taken a win, and they'd have 11 wins right now. And NC State would also look stronger because they'd have another win. Like, they played some directional school in Carolina. Like, there was no reason. There's no benefit for playing an out-of-conference game against a conference opponent. It hurts everyone. So anyway, but that's why that was not a conference game. It was not scheduled by the ACC. It was scheduled by the schools. But again, a conference that's actually organized and has their shit together. I mean, they said, you're not playing that game. We're not doing that. Go find an opponent.
Right. But the ACC doesn't have its shit together.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I'm sure now, of course, because they're always like 10 steps behind, I am sure all of these tiebreakers are going to be changed. So that this doesn't happen again. 7-5 Duke being, by the way, everyone like colloquially says, it's the 4 P4 schools plus G5 champions. That is not actually what the rule is. It's the top 5 conference champions. And if Duke wins, the ACC likely does not have a team in the playoffs. So they're going to get exactly what they deserve because JMU and Tulane should be in front of Duke because it'll be an 8-5 Duke team. And so those will be the higher conference champions in the ACC champs. So it'll be SEC, Big 10, Big 12 champs, and then those 2 teams as conference champions. It's the 5 highest conference champions, which 99 times out of 100 will be the P4 teams, and then whatever the G5 team is. In this case, it is not the P4 teams because if Duke wins, they would not be with the higher ones. So,
what a mess. What an absolute
It's a mess created by an incompetent conference. Like, we should be going to Charlotte. We're the best team in this conference. And look, it's multiple things. You mentioned earlier, not having division, so the schedules are completely unbalanced. It's a big problem. That's a huge problem. The other thing is the tiebreakers then are basically worthless. They didn't revise them when they went to a single conference format. They left them together. Where if you think about with divisions, you all play the teams in division, and like before the way they do it was 8 teams, but you play your 6 and then 2 crossover teams. So if you did that, all of a sudden you have a ton of common opponents within the division that you're comparing to. They didn't change a single thing in that tiebreaker, and there's none of it works anymore. Like, none of the tiebreaker works unless it's head-to-head, just 2 teams. Everything else does not work. So it's an incompetent conference.
Sometimes you don't know what you have till it's gone, and we're finding that out here.
And I will say I do see some people say, well, the ACC should intervene, and like, no. These are the rules we signed up for. Those are the rules. They're written on the website. That was the bylaws. They can change it for next year, but this year Duke earned it by the rules. So that's what it is.
I don't even know if it's what we signed up for necessarily anymore. I'm sure
it is because they all vote on the bylaws. The ACC is an organization, right? All the athletic directors, they vote. None of them had the foresight to see, like with 17 teams in the stupid conference, having all of the tiebreakers about common opponents is a bad idea.
We're trying to understand how you don't have the foresight to see that. But
no, it was coming a mile away. But again, this is an incompetent conference. The idea to get rid of divisions, like, you're not the SEC. They're not going to put half your conference into the playoffs. So it doesn't make any sense to not have divisions because you need your top teams in the conference championship game. The SEC does not. Someone like Ole Miss. Yeah, the Big Ten doesn't either. Like, Ole Miss and Oregon don't need to play in that game to make it. You need Miami in there. You want Miami and Virginia in there. Because, frankly, if we went there and played Virginia and Virginia beats us, like, they're like, their resume is much stronger then. Like, you want those games to happen if you're the ACC. And last year they got lucky in a way. I mean, obviously it wasn't good for us that we lost, but they got lucky that Clemson won and snatch the automatic bid, and SMU's resume was just strong enough to hold it. So but again, anyone could see this coming when you look at the schedule and be like, how come those teams didn't play anyone? Because you can play a weak ACC schedule and not hit the top teams. Duke hit a couple of them and lost to both of them, and then beat the Little Sisters of the Poor, and that was enough. And so they are in.
Which means, maybe we don't need to schedule a Notre Dame as a opening out of.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, for the playoff stuff. Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to play that game. By the way, it is unbelievable that we're having this conversation. I don't think people are paying enough attention to how absurd we're even discussing this. In addition to beating them, they played the same schedule we did. That's the team we have a ton of common opponents with. Syracuse, Stanford, Pitt, NC State. Except that instead of playing Louisville and SMU, they played Boston College. Like, get the hell out of here with this. They played a weak ACC schedule except for Miami, who they lost to. That is their schedule. This is insane. This is not some random team we happen to play. They have an affiliation with the conference and played all the same teams we did. What did they do to have everyone decide that head-to-head doesn't matter? It's an insane, this is a theft. It's an absolute theft. If you want to put BYU in, fine. They lost once. I'll own it. But putting that Notre Dame team in front of us for beating the same teams we did, by the way, not as badly as we did. The only one that they outperformed us in is Syracuse. We beat NC State, Pitt, and Stanford worse than they did. This is an abomination.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what sort of, if those metrics even count, they say, oh, beat them by more points matter, blah, blah, blah. It makes you wonder if that even is a factor anymore. And all these metrics that we were taught, oh, if you beat them by 50 versus 7, that'll make an impact and a difference in your resume for the playoffs. I mean, does it really count anymore? It doesn't seem like it does to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Well, it does when they want it to, right?
Right.
I mean, I think this is the frustrating part.
Yeah.
But actually, again, this is complete BS because what is happening? Look everywhere else. Has anyone watched Oklahoma play football? That team stinks. I mean, they don't stink. For a 10-2 team, they're not good. And Miami, Notre Dame would kill them. Bama dominated them and kept shooting themselves in the foot, and Oklahoma stole the game. Fair play to them. They won. But why are they up there? Well, we can't put Alabama in front of them. They beat Alabama. What about the other games?
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy. They just everyone's logic everywhere. As Oklahoma was losing late to LSU before they threw that last touchdown, they were talking about, well, if they fall to 3 losses, are they still in? No, you have to drop them behind Texas. Texas beat them. Just casually, everyone always talks about head-to-head. And yet, here, no one has any issues with putting this fraud team in front of us that we beat. Not only we beat, it was a 3-point win. Everyone coming out of that game said Miami's the better team. They then subsequently went and lost to the only other good team they played. And because they're beating up on crappy teams that we also beat the same teams, this is insane. This is absolutely insane.
No argument for me here.
If you're going to put BYU in, I'll entertain that because they have one loss. Although if they go and get killed by Texas Tech again, I don't think you can. They can win the auto bid, actually. But if they go out there and lose to Texas Tech twice, you're going to put them in at number 11 and have them play Texas Tech a third time. I don't really think that. I think they should have to win that. But I could at least say, okay, they're 11-1. But Notre Dame with the same record of the same schedule, having lost to us, what do we do?
Yeah.
Because by the way, our metrics went really high up now because the season's over. So now you get to because we played some of those weaker teams a little bit earlier. So those are baked in. And as the season winds down to the end, this is where the SEC is smart for putting those weak opponents at the end instead of the beginning. Their numbers are higher when they start ranking these teams.
Well, that's what the SEC does. I mean,
Yeah,
Georgia's
no,
up
that's
here in
smart.
Massachusetts like last year. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's smart
yeah,
because when
yeah.
the committee starts their rankings, they do so with whatever the metrics are at that point in time, which is another reason we got. Because, like I said, our last 4 games helped our metrics well. It was 2 road wins. 2 of those 3 games were against quality opponents. So all of a sudden, oh, we're 7th in FPI now instead of like 17th, like it was like a month ago when they started the rankings. We're ahead of several of the teams in the playoffs right now, too, in those metrics. So again, there's absolutely no reason Notre Dame should be in front of us.
I agree.
We played, we won. They wanted to be in front of us, they should have won the game. And you can tell because it's getting increasingly ridiculous. Like Louisville and SMU finished 8-4. One was a 3-point loss, one was an overtime. Should we have won one of those games? Yeah, probably. But those are not bad losses. Nothing compared to like Bama losing to FSU. That's a terrible loss. Texas losing to Florida. That's a terrible loss. These are nothing like those. So, like, that's enough to invalidate a head-to-head losing to an 8-4 team in overtime on the road. Are you crazy? This is insane. This is really insane. And the worst part is they actually, this is written down and put on their website as this is what we use to rank teams. Head-to-head is right there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I don't get it. Like you said, the minute they were ranked 17th, to begin the rankings, then they automatically have to start climbing their way, and it makes for a very difficult climb. And so from that point on, I kind of knew we were screwed, to be completely honest with you, because I knew that it was going to take a lot of work and outside factors that we can't even control in order to even be in the conversation for the college football playoff. And that I don't think is fair at all.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're I don't so let me answer some of these questions. Quote Norm from Cheers, Martin coming in from Botswana.
Cheers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's a favorite of DJs, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I used to get called Norm in college because I would frequent the bars so much. But anyway.
Nice. You keep that in your past, man. We are one of the 12 this team that lost 2 games we shouldn't. So did the other teams we're playing. Look, I understand this, right? I understand, like, yes, if we'd just gone undefeated, we'd be number 2 probably.
Yeah.
Because we were when we lost that first game. We'd be up there right there. We'd be going to Charlotte to play Virginia, and we could lose, and it wouldn't matter anyway. Yes. Why are we held to a different standard than everyone else? Notre Dame wanted to go, and they should have beat us. They didn't. They couldn't. And I think this is the other fallacy. Oh, if they played it again today, we'd beat their ass again. There's zero evidence they would beat us.
Yeah.
There's
I always like to throw week 1 out the window anyway.
Didn't.
I mean, I always like to throw week 1 out the window anyway because there's a lot of teams like it's just a mess because teams are trying to figure each other out and now again you take that game against Notre Dame now and Miami plays them now. I feel like Miami would beat them by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't. We've already beat them. This is the thing, right? They are doing projections and hypotheticals when the game actually got played. So I don't even understand this. But my point on this, we shouldn't have lost those games, but Alabama shouldn't have lost to Florida fucking State. Like, what are we doing? Like, these are the teams we're being compared to. So I honestly, if we're doing a fair ranking, I know they've looked like crap, and I frankly don't think they're that good, but I am very okay with Oklahoma. Like, okay, if we go past the 1-loss teams, right, then it's Oregon and Oklahoma. And so there's 6 like undefeated or 1-loss. There's Ohio. In fact, let me pull this up here. I will do a screen share so we can kind of have
and it's even hard for me to kind of say that Oregon should be a guarantee. Like, yes, okay.
Well, they have a better record. So like, again, I'm okay.
They played with crappy opponents though, for the most part. I mean,
for sure. I mean, they were definitely getting the benefit of the doubt. Okay,
Yeah.
so here we are. This is off of last week's records, but everyone won. So I'm gonna share this, but nothing really changed. But this is where we're sitting. None of the top teams lost. Okay, so assuming we're gonna lean on record, these seven are there, right? Okay, so now we're talking 8 to 12. I mean, you can throw Vanderbilt in here if you want to, although I think this, again, the irony of how this is being done. Because I'm not listening to this Texas nonsense. I'm sorry. They lost to Florida.
No,
right?
this
I know
Texas
they're close
nonsense,
game.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Having
yeah,
Stark
no,
big,
we're not
big
entertaining
post-game.
that.
Yeah.
Michigan lost this week, so let's just take from these teams, right? So we're going from OU, so it's Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami, Utah, Vanderbilt. I think, first of all, I agree with Martin to the extent that I don't think BYU is that good. However, I will. They do have a better record, so if they want to give that some deference, although I don't think you can put them in if they lose to Texas Tech again. You can't have them lose to that team twice and put them in. I know they don't want to punish them for making the championship game, but like, no, you can't. You got, to me, they have to win that game. You got to drop them. So that's one thing. So I think for them, it's win and you're in, obviously, because it's an auto bid. And I think Texas Tech would still be in. But if they lose, they're out. So that's one. There's two there. So that's one of the spots, right? Two are going to go to two conference champions, maybe the ACC champ, maybe not, but like two. So that's three of the spots. So now with the 7, if we cut off, I mean, that takes us to 10. So there's 2 spots left. 3 technically, if we want to say BYU's fringe, but to me, BYU can grab an automatic. Let's say 3 spots left. That's between Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami, Utah, and Vanderbilt. I'm okay with Oklahoma being at the front of that because their losses are better. They lost to Mississippi and they lost to Texas. And look, Texas should not be in the playoffs, but it's not a bad loss. And then they beat Alabama. So like, I'm okay with them saying, on balance, even though they look like shit, on balance, okay, I'm okay with them being in the front. They don't have any of the negatives. The next team has got to be us at that point. Beat Notre Dame, beat a common opponent with Alabama. Better wins, less bad losses. Like, I don't, because Notre Dame has no wins.
Yeah.
Their best wins USC. Alabama has two really good wins. They beat Georgia and they beat Vanderbilt. Those are good wins.
Yeah.
They have a terrible loss. On balance, it should be us. But if you want to say we're going to dismiss bad losses and put Alabama in front of us, there's no way Notre Dame should be in front of us. Like, there is no earthly way you arrive at the way they did. And so, again, there's 3 spots there once we plug Oklahoma in, which I think is fair. There's 2 spots left for Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami, Utah, we can say, but there's no way they're getting it. And Vanderbilt, who also there's probably no way they're getting because Alabama beat them. So if you take out the teams that were eliminated head-to-head, Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, get them the hell out of there. And it's Miami and Alabama. With BYU, who can win and steal a spot out of that. That is the correct way to rank. It's not even hard. That's you look at these teams, right? And again, Oklahoma also beat Alabama, so putting them in the front, if you're comparing them with the 2-loss team, makes sense again. Their losses to Mississippi, who's in front of them. So all of that makes sense, actually. So put them in at 8. I'm okay with that. And then you've got the next 4, right? So again, take 2 away for the 2 conference automatics. And you're now up to 10. So there's 2 spots left. And then if you're looking at Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami, Utah, and Vanderbilt. Well, Utah's out. BYU beat them. So take them out for losing a head-to-head. Vanderbilt's out because Alabama beat them. Take them out. Notre Dame's out because we beat them. And you end up with Alabama, BYU, and Miami, 2 for 3 spots. BYU can claim an automatic spot, so can Alabama. If either of them lose, we get in. I think that is the fairest way to do this. And it's not even hard. You just have to say rely on who beat who. And instead, they're going to do the square root of whatever the hell and say that somehow Notre Dame's better even though they lost.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, this is actually not hard.
Yeah.
If you just look at the head-to-head. Because, again, Alabama and BYU can play their way in right now. They just win those games, and they're in. And then Miami will be out. And that's fine. That would be they earned it. And so Notre Dame did not earn it. We earned it over them. Like, that's what I've been saying all along. You know, if we don't make it, we don't make it. But that team absolutely should not make it in front of us.
I agree.
And that is what's likely going to happen.
Yeah.
And to your point, there's no point in scheduling them or playing them, because when we lose to them, they win. That's essentially what has happened. And when you see people saying, well, Miami's only up there because they beat Notre Dame. Yes, Notre Dame's up there because they lost to Miami. What is there? And this is where, ironically, because I was looking into this, like, how is, because you look at Notre Dame's resume. I mean, and it is, not only is this thing weak, like, it's, let me see if I can get that click right. Like, not only is this like not a strong resume, but like it's unbelievably weak. Because like Purdue, Arkansas, and BC are all the worst teams in their conference. Boise State is not good this year. I mean, they beat the same teams as us. Where is this big boost coming from? Like, if you know a lot, like Navy, like, I mean, what are we doing here? Again, if you look at this, a lot of familiar faces from our schedule.
Yeah.
Like, how you can put those two up together and say, like, oh, yeah, no, the one that lost is better. It's insane. But this is why their metrics are good. This is the funny part. So the SEC and the Big Ten have been pressuring for years the committee to use different numbers. And they won that pressure campaign, which is why all their numbers are always good. And the thing is, they wanted credit for losing to each other. So the numbers boost losses as much as wins. And so Notre Dame's strength of record is high because they lost to good teams. You don't actually have to beat anyone because that's what the SEC and Big Ten want. Because you can have someone like Ole Miss did beat Oklahoma, but had they lost that game, again, they didn't, so they should be in for sure. But if they'd lost that game, their numbers would still be really good, even though they only played Oklahoma and Georgia, and they would have lost both. That's what they were trying to accomplish, and they did, except they're not benefiting from it. Notre Dame is. This is insane. This is an insane thing to look at and say, oh, yeah, this is a great resume here. It's not. And yeah, again, we get the whole the best thing you did was beat us. Yeah, well, the best thing you did was lose to us. So like, I don't understand the argument. This whole thing is stupid. It's literally the same. If you look at this again, common opponents are NC State, Syracuse, Stanford, Pitt. The others, BC, Arkansas, and Purdue, are all the worst teams in their conference. BC finally won yesterday. Out of the three of them, that's the only conference win any of them had. And then you count our game as well. That's 8 of their games, of their 12, are either common opponents or last place teams. You're telling me they did so much in losing a game? That's the 9th game. Beating NC State, beating USC, Boise State, and Navy, that's enough to wipe out a head-to-head win? That's crazy talk. The real issue is the committee thought we were going to keep losing and started us way too low. They should have started us at like 14, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. They've moved us up 6 spots so far, but it's not nearly where we should be.
When it's not enough either. At the end of the day,
it's not enough. It's not enough. But we should be 9 or 10, probably 9. And Notre Dame should be out, basically.
Yeah,
just like Vanderbilt should be out. If you're comparing teams, we beat Notre Dame, they should be out. Alabama beat Vanderbilt, they should be out. BYU beat Utah, Utah should be out. And it should really be BYU, Miami, and Alabama for those last 2 spots. Probably in that order. But who knows what order they put in. But again, BYU and Alabama just need to win their games, and then Miami will be out, and that's okay. But Notre Dame being safely in is just a nonsense. And at this point, again, as the numbers have now closed up, and the metrics are basically tied now with Notre Dame, because again, us having Pitt as the last game and then having Stanford means one of the weaker pieces of our resume has now impacted them, and one of the stronger pieces of theirs has impacted us. All of a sudden, those numbers have tightened. They have to fall back on head-to-head at some point.
Yeah.
But they're not going to. So I think we maybe will move ahead of BYU. They struggle with UCF for a half, and UCF is not good. I don't suspect Bama will get punished at all for struggling with an awful team. I know Oklahoma won't either. And I think we're going to basically see the same top 12 from last week.
Yeah.
What do you think, TJ? Do you think
I don't expect any major changes. Like you said, even wins where Alabama struggles, they still don't get moved in any drastic fashion to affect anything. So I don't really see much change either, unfortunately, for Miami. A rough day in terms of having other teams help us in order to get where we want to go, but I don't really see much movement at all.
Yeah, no, if LSU and Auburn had finished the deal, we'd probably be in, but it looks like we're just going to be outside. So, yep, that's where it sits now. I don't expect them to do the right thing here. Keeping in mind the way they do groupings, if they come to the same groupings as last week, 9-12 means it would be Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, and BYU in a pod. BYU has the best records. If they want to lean on that, they should be ninth. If they want to lean on what they said they're going to do for comparable teams, which is written down and codified, then it's head-to-head and comparable opponents. And we have ND and Bama beat on those metrics because Bama lost to Florida State and we did not. And Notre Dame, of course, even though everyone's trying to pretend it didn't happen, we beat them. So, but they're going to not follow their own guidance and just keep moving there. I mean, we know what's happening. It's a fraud. And when you have to say things, well, if you pretend like they didn't play, then if you start a sentence with that, you already know you're off the
right, 100%.
And some of the stuff too. Again, I think it's being minimized how big of a deal it is to ignore head-to-head and how anti-sporting that is, because everywhere else in the rankings and everything else we do relies on it. Again, no one actually thinks Oklahoma is better than them. You watch that game, you're like, the better team lost that game. But they're never going to put Alabama in front of them because, again, Oklahoma won when they played. It doesn't matter how they did it, they won. And we lean on that heavily, and we should. They won the game. They should be in front. Everywhere in the rankings, we do that. That's why Ole Miss is in front of Oklahoma. They beat them. It's literally every step of the way except this random one here. That's why BYU's in front of Utah. By the way, by the same logic they have Notre Dame in front of us, BYU should be in front of Texas Tech. They both have a loss. BYU has a better loss. It doesn't matter that it was to the team that you're comparing them to. That's what we're saying. That's how stupid it is. But anyway, we'll see. Not optimistic. I'm sure, there's going to be a pressure campaign from our administration, I'm sure, but I don't think it's going to work.
No. I don't think it's going to work either, unfortunately. But at least we won yesterday, I guess. I mean, you were there in person. You took it in person. It looked pretty good on the TV. Again, there was some shoddy officiating, big surprise. But Miami was able to take care of business against the Panthers.
Yeah, no, it was a good performance. Again, just came out, and other than a blip on the second drive, which is some of the potential shoddy officiating when they went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they went for it on fourth down early in that drive when I think at that point they were struggling to get, they were negative yardage at that point. and didn't rule. It's questionable whether he made it. They did rule. I think it was right not to overturn that. So I mean, they called it first down the field, but that was definitely questionable.
That was not a first down. At least how it looked on the TV and the replays that they showed.
Yeah, it's so hard to move a ball like a spot
Yeah.
though if you don't
Yeah.
when it's a massive humidity like that. Like I think they spotted it wrong initially, and then I didn't see anything that would have. I'm okay with them following the rule book. Like if they called it, like I don't know that I saw anything clearly. I think he was short, but I don't think I saw anything clearly that was like, oh, they have to move it back.
And then to have the review when another play already happened, and Pittsburgh, I believe it was Pittsburgh, smartly went up to the line and got the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, that
So
was
again, I think I'm okay with that part because like they unless they cheated. But it was the ACC officials, so you can't put anything past them. But if when the buzzer goes off, right?
Yeah.
Then they have to. Then they could be trying to stop the play, and then the ball gets snapped.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with that. We have to kind of trust that. They actually did get buzzed.
I don't trust that.
And
this conference. Yeah, I get what you're saying though.
Well, especially the replay later where it was incomplete and they talked themselves. Yeah. They said it was incomplete, and then they said, "Never mind," changed their mind. It's like as if they didn't know they were on.
Yeah,
they forgot they're on TV.
Yeah.
I mean that's insane. Like again, none of it mattered because we killed them, but that's just what the hell was that?
It's funny that these transparency and their explanation of the rules often just reveal how truly bad they are to the general public. It's been really interesting to listen.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, they got the call wrong on the field. They corrected it, and then talked themselves out of correcting it, and it was just
yeah.
I mean, that was a new one. That was a new one. I mean, this conference is just
a mess,
third rate across the board in how they do all of their operations, and it's unacceptable. Like, and this is just another. Yeah. You know, again, like you said, Pitt, whether or not they buzzed down Pitt certainly was aggrieved. I also thought, again, none of it mattered because the margins were so big.
Right.
But I don't know that certainly the second it was on the drive. I think we went up 17-7 on. Yep. I think the second unsportsmanlike conduct was a bit was it that drive or was the 24? It was one of the drives where they kept it alive multiple times with unsportsmanlike.
I think it might have been 24.
No. Yeah, I think it was to go 24. You're right. I thought the second one in particular was kind of little dicey. The first one he hit, I mean, TJ Jones flopped, but he did hit him like way after the play for the official. So like that one, I'm like, okay. But the second one was kind of just some jawing. I didn't really see anything that warranted.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen as many unsportsmanlike conduct penalties as I do during an ACC game. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Well, I mean, like, they love to call.
And to your point, I think like the goal of the official is to enforce the rules without impacting the game. And you know, a lot of officials will, if it's inconsequential, just let it go. It's not affecting the game.
Right.
And I mean, we don't know what's happening on the field, but it feels like, you know, going up to them when they do stupid shit like that and say, hey, if you do that again, I'm throwing a flag. Like, do not do that. If they do it again, then flag them.
Yeah, right.
It would be a better approach than immediately trying to let me get involved.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking like really talented athletes with adrenaline running through every part of their body to calm down after a major play. It's like trying to, I don't know, it's like trying to find the lost city of Atlantis. You know, you're just not going to be able to do it. You know, and it's just, I feel like oftentimes the refs want to make it about themselves in this conference, and they have, and we've seen it, controlled the outcomes of the games, and that's not what officiating is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a look at me. Like, we shouldn't be talking about the officials impacting the game. We should be talking about the game. But throughout the entire season, it's been that way, and not just this season, but for years with the ACC, it's been that way, and it's annoying. It really is annoying.
It is. They do look like they're trying to get involved.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, beyond the officiating, the man who was involved in feels like every single play was Malachi Tony. I mean, that was an all-worldly opponent, a performance. Threw a touchdown,
Yeah.
ran 5 times for 30 yards,
Beautiful
caught
pass.
13 passes for 126 yards and a touchdown. He was everywhere.
I gotta say, we might not need to go to the transfer portal or try to have to worry about quarterback depth if we have Malachi Tony. We could put him under center, and he could probably do a fine job. We knew he played in high school.
He throws a good ball.
Yeah. I will say though, the thought crossed my mind that if we ever lose, hopefully this never happens, but him for injury for an extended period of time, then we're kind of screwed. Because outside of Malachi,
again, barring a miracle, like this season, I can't imagine Carson Beck's going to play in the bowl game. We'll see who else doesn't. We'll talk about that next week when we know, next Monday's show, not the one tomorrow, but the one after. We're going to know which bowl we're going to and all that, and I'm sure we'll see all the players opting out that aren't going to play. So, next season will be different, as next season always is different. So we'll see. But yeah, this team has been increasingly reliant on Malachi Tony to do everything. And I think part of that is Carson Beck trusts him. So we'll see next year if, another quarterback, it's going to be another quarterback, obviously, based on eligibility, is more inclined to, spread the ball around a little bit more. We're literally just giving him the ball whenever we're targeting him on every play, and he's delivering.
Yeah, it's like the defense tries to contain him, but you just can't.
Yeah, so it's working, but I would expect a little bit more, variety in the offense next year in terms of who the quarterback targets. I think it's just going to get it to Tony on every play. In the backfield, Fletcher got the start, but Pringle is the one that stood out. They both got 10 carries in the end, but Pringle 82 yards, had some explosion, had a couple of big runs. One for 38 yards. Fletch got the touchdown run. And yeah, no, it was. I felt like this was a complete performance offensively. As much as Malachi Tony obviously had the 13 catches, there were still a lot of guys that also caught passes. So he did spread it around. JoJo had a big 3rd down catch. The game was somewhat competitive. They were up after the first quarter, although it felt like I actually scored right at the start of the second quarter, but it's kind of like how are they in this game? It felt like we were dominating, and there's a couple of leakages on defense, a couple of busts on coverage, including their touchdown. It was a coverage bust, so there was a couple of pressure point drives we had to make, and the offense really executed well and made them. Then the defense just shut everything down, other than really the one drive. It's one drive and they missed a field goal, and that was it. It was, especially in the second half, I thought right from the opening snap, the defense just ate them up on the defensive line. Was just dominant, and really Pitt struggled from there.
Yeah, you really got to see the lack of mobility that Henschel had for a bit, because there were times where he would just get completely swallowed by the defensive line, and I thought they did a really good job of getting pressure to him and forcing him off his initial reads and making him think in the pocket, and they did a really good job. And this has been multiple weeks now where they've been much better at getting pressure on the quarterback, and they affected the game in a very positive way, and it was awesome to see that again.
Yeah, no, and also did a much better job against the run. I know last week we struggled against Virginia Tech running the ball, stopping the run, but this was a complete performance. This is how you want to close the season out. There really weren't any negatives other than again a couple of coverage busts. After a week of hearing when Miami can't play in the cold, they played in the cold quite well. And yeah, no, it's kind of. It put the cherry on top for what was a really good season, and it's unfortunately not going to get rewarded. That's clouding all of our discussions at this point. But but in a vacuum, that was a really dominant performance in a spot where again Pitt just needed to win, because SMU ended up losing. If Pitt had won, they were going to go to the ACC championship game, and that was not even. It wasn't full the whole game, like especially not the upper deck, but the lower end. It was jazzed up their energy, like they were trying to win a championship, and I thought it was pretty apparent early. And I think it took even after they took the lead briefly for 2 minutes, they held the lead. I think after a few snaps, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen, and I think even their fans kind of realized that they were out of their depth here. And that is the mark of a really good team, just to go on the road, take the crowd out, and just impose your will. And that's exactly what the Canes did yesterday, all over the field. I thought Carson Beck, once again, he finished those last 4 games after SMU. And in fact, SMU didn't even play poorly. I mean, the one that JoJo interception is going to live in Miami infamy basically forever. The one that he's going to put us up 14-0, and we'll probably coast to a victory and be in the playoffs pretty easily at this point and going to Charlotte. Instead, he basically passed it to the defense and kind of put them at. But I thought really starting with that game, even though it ended poorly, I think that's when he started to get his confidence back, and then you could really see from there forward. These last 4 games, the offense has really just been humming, and the defense has gotten better despite taking some key injuries. They've just continued to play through it. I mean, David Blay missed the last several games too. Everyone knows County Scott's obviously out, but lost another starter there. They've been just everything is played. This team is playing excellent football, and it's unfortunate. We're not going to get this. Basically, we're not going to see this team play again because the bowl game is just going to be it's going to be Emory Williams, and it's going to be a lot of young players, and I'm assuming most of the seniors won't play. So it's unfortunate that was it. I realized that as I was walking out of the stadium, I was like, oh, we're not going to see this team play again. Like this, whatever shows from the bowl game is not going to be this Miami. And yeah, it's kind of sad because this is a team that deserves to play more football. They're not going to.
I felt that way about last year's team too. I mean, watching Cam Ward was just so fun every Saturday.
Yeah, and we got to see him play at least a half in the bowl game though. So there was that. Yeah. The other thing is, again, I think last year, I know, and I know it's a little hypocritical because we obviously could have beat Louisville and we could have beat SMU, but last year I feel like we should have been in front of Alabama. It ended up not mattering, though, because SMU lost to Clemson, and so those were the 2 ACC teams, which was fine. So we wouldn't have made it after all that debate whether we should be in front of the 3-loss Alabama. It didn't matter. But it was 21-0 on Syracuse, and we didn't see the game out. So, I mean, out of that game, it's kind of like we just blew it. Whereas this, it's like, this team has done everything that's been asked of them, and they're still going to get last year we didn't really play any. I mean, we played Florida, who turned out to be terrible, right? We played them again this year, by the way, but we didn't have the signature out of conference win. And we played a lot of close games, Virginia Tech and Cal. I think kind of under the radar here is not just that beat Notre Dame. And then 2 close losses, obviously 3 points to Louisville, and then overtime to SMU. The other games, killing these teams. Yeah. There's not been a game other than Notre Dame, which again, we're actually much bigger, and they kind of scored and got that 2 to tie it, and then we went down and scored and won the game immediately. But there's not been a game that has even been really competitive in the fourth quarter. On the schedule, it's very different from last year. Last year, there were several games. Remember, even last year, even Wake Forest was, I believe, up in the fourth quarter, and we flipped a switch and blew them out. Duke hung around for a while. Obviously, Virginia Tech was literally the last play of the game we could have lost on. Cal, we were down and had that miracle comeback. There isn't really this team has really just dominated the opponents. They've done everything asked of them. They lost a couple of close games to good teams, and they're going to put teams in front of them that they beat. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But, yeah, I did, you said it yourself last year. It was like, oh, man, we're not going to get to see Cam Ward play anymore. It wasn't, we're not going to get to see this team play because there was a lot of that team I didn't want to see play ever again.
Yeah, no, Cam Ward. Cam Ward was the
Cam Ward. I wanted
transfer.
to see play a lot more of, but that defense I did not need to see ever again. But this year, no, this is a complete team. They're playing really well. Carter Davis has come along so far. The kicking game is supposed to be a question. He's been excellent. Like, this team is just they're poised. And honestly, they're not going to, but if they got in the playoffs, they could win the damn thing. And it's unfortunate that winning during the regular season does not translate to a playoff spot. It's just whatever the committee feels like.
I gotta ask Vish, who had the second most receiving yards behind Malachi Tony?
I mean, I have it open, so I know. But you can go ahead and say your guy.
Alex Bauman, tight end, baby. Let's go. 3 catches, 58 yards. Not over 19 yards a catch. I was very pleased with the play of the tight ends, and I know.
Yeah, they had the one big play, which I think is the first time he's kind of gotten loose this year. It's been a lot of kind of underneath for 5-6 yards, and he had the long running catch, where it was the old Cam Ward to Elijah Arroyo play, except Bauman does not have the wheels, so he got run down. But I was like, Arroyo would have scored on that. But still, yeah, no. Again, this team is really clicking. The ball's getting distributed.
Again, I'm just looking at the stat sheet. Malachi Tony's the third leading rusher. I mean, he throws touchdowns, he catches them like he really is. We say he's kind of an everything guy, but when you look at the box scores and the stat sheets, and it's really impressive how he can even do all these things and have the stamina to do all these things.
Yeah, no, he's unbelievable, and at least we'll get to see him play for a couple more years, at least. So that's good. But yeah, no, it's disappointing we're not going to see this team play again because of politics. Essentially, there's absolutely no way if you actually just evaluate this team versus Notre Dame versus Alabama versus Oklahoma versus BYU that you're putting several of those teams in front of Miami.
But I will say, you look at this team, and you have a lot to be excited about for next year, especially, in my opinion, at the running back position with Shamar Brown and Pringle and some of the younger receivers like JoJo. And so I think we saw a lot of young players really come on strong this year and play at a high level in high-pressure situations. So there's a lot of players that I'm excited to watch next year, and I'm glad we got to preview some of them this season.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be, we got the quarterback will be a question mark. Yeah. And, there's a lot on the defensive line that there's going to, I mean, we saw some of the young guys starting to step up. Justin Scott, by the way, beast.
Yeah.
He is awesome. So, there's a lot to be excited about. It's just, this team deserves to see this thing through. And they're not going to get to. But anyway, it was a good season, good way to wrap. Dominated Pitt, and again, if you rewind, 24 hours, everyone's saying, well, Miami's not going to play in the cold. They're not going to handle this. They're not going to be able to beat Pitt, and just wasn't even competitive. So, kudos to the team for kind of focusing, stepping up. Again, when told what the committee need to see from Miami to consider head-to-head, Miami's hit every one of those marks and exceeded them, and they're still going to get screwed because it was never about that. It was going to move the goalposts repeatedly. So that is what it is. It's nice to live the charm life. I guess the Canes will open next year or play Notre Dame early in the season, and I guess if they win, it doesn't count, and if they lose, it's good for Notre Dame. So I think that's kind of where this has now landed. Again, I don't think people realize how the tectonic shift in ignoring a head-to-head like this, how big of a deal this is. But it is what it is. I'm assuming we're going to have a completely new ACC format next year, too.
I hope so.
Duke making the ACC. Again, this dumb conference did not redo the tiebreakers after they built these big conferences, like this massive one division alignment, and so all of the tiebreakers essentially end up in the toilet if you don't have just two teams in them. Even if
again,
you just
how
have
do
two
you not
teams in them,
foresee all of this happen? Like, I don't know.
yeah. Even if you do have two teams in it, it's very unlikely that they played. It's stupid. Like you gotta get the divisions back in here.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're not
And I
going
feel like you got to
That
get the
I don't-
divisions back for several of it. Like the Big Ten needs the divisions back. The
but they're being Machiavellian about it. This is why the ACC is stupid. The Big Ten does not want their top teams playing each other. The thing, if the ACC top teams don't play each other, they all end up unranked.
That's a good point. It's
If
just
the Big Ten top
frustrating.
teams don't play each other, they get ranked high anyway. Same thing with the SEC.
Right.
The ACC needs to understand where they are. Right? They need to understand their place in life here and understand that,
like, the times. Like you don't need to schedule apparently hard games at the beginning of the season anymore.
Well, I mean, the next thing they should do is toss Notre Dame that whole scheduling. Make Notre Dame make their own schedule. If all they have to do is beat the Little Sisters of the Poor in this conference and lose to Miami and get a benefit out of it, but they literally are taking our spot despite losing to us for beating the same teams that we beat. It is, if that's the way it's going to be, then we shouldn't help them schedule. Make them go find 12 games because they wouldn't be able to schedule if they didn't get 5 or 6 games out of the ACC. We'll just have their schedule.
I completely agree.
Let them sign scheduling agreements, and we should back out of all of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Let this conference well. Anyway, all right, DJ. Well, it's been a good it's been a season, that's for sure. I guess DJ will not be there tomorrow night, but we do have 6 rings Canes tomorrow night. We got Blue and Jazz to take. I'm sure a lot more playoff talk, and then the actual reveal. I mean, the final bracket is Sunday, but the actual reveal will be tomorrow. We'll see. We have not moved up. I mean, not tomorrow, Tuesday, and we'll see we have not moved up, and that'll be game, set, match. DJ, it's been a wild ride. Unfortunately, the team is playing so well, but I think that's probably it for this season.
Did you want to shoot for next Sunday? See,
we can do a it'll be all playoff talk. Yeah,
because I'd love to see you freshen up on your recruiting throughout the offseason and give you a little test.
Oh yeah, that's true. We are going to do a we're gonna keep this show going, so we're gonna
quite honestly, I love this time of year. I can write about so much stuff. We got transportal this, transportal that, players leaving left and right, coach hirings, firings.
This show is gonna continue, probably rewrite it a little bit. It's not the day after games, but we're gonna have a Sunday morning show continuing. So more to come on that. Next week we'll probably be just talking about the playoffs, but
more grieving.
I mean, we'll have the final games will have been played, and we'll kind of know who's in and who's out. But anyway, DJ, thanks for hanging out this Sunday. Everyone, thanks for watching, and if you're listening to the audio, thanks for listening. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah, thanks.